Welcome. My name is Yashika Adams, and we're so happy you've joined Wise Woman and taken the step toward healthy lifestyle changes. As part of this no-cost program, you will have access to resources, trainings, and community support. This is week 2 of the 6-week Living Well Ahead series with health lessons created by the American Heart Association. This self-guided series will help you learn the ins and outs about blood pressure, diabetes, and how to make healthy habits part of your lifestyle. Before we get started, we wanted to take a minute to tell you a little more about the series and how we think you can get the most out of them. We encourage you to watch one series video a week. After watching each lesson, take what you have learned and put it into practice for the rest of the week. This will help you start building healthy habits into your daily routine. Each lesson should take about 30 minutes to watch. Watch whenever it is convenient and try to minimize distractions. When you see a discussion question slide, pause the video and take time to think about your answer. Now let's get started. You may have heard the saying that small changes add up to big results. Building small habits to help reduce your sodium intake can have a powerful impact on your overall health. The lesson today will help guide you in making lifestyle changes to decrease your sodium intake and help make immediate improvements in your blood pressure. Here's a review of what we'll discuss today. In this lesson, we will talk about ways to help decrease your sodium intake, which will help lower and control your blood pressure. It will help you understand how sodium affects your health, learn what are common sources of sodium or salt, learn ways to reduce your sodium intake. We will also help empower you to share this information and help make positive changes to your community. At the end of the presentation, we will share online resources to further assist you in improving your health. Let's talk a little more about Empowered to Serve. Empowered to Serve is a movement inspiring those who are passionate about driving change through health justice in their communities. This means that you can be an example for your family, friends, and even your community by learning about blood pressure and diabetes, practicing healthy habits, and sharing what you know with those around you. This Living Well Ahead series is a great way to do just that. First, let's talk about how sodium affects the body. Your body does need some sodium to function properly, yet too much sodium causes your body to hold on to water. This extra fluid puts extra work on your heart and blood vessels. Most of the sodium we consume comes in the form of salt. This is why we often use these words interchangeably. You may already be aware that too much sodium in your diet can cause your blood pressure to increase. If someone is battling high blood pressure, decreasing sodium intake may be the first step in improving blood pressure. It is important to control blood pressure because high blood pressure is the leading cause of heart disease and stroke. In addition to high blood pressure, too much sodium may also put you at risk for enlarged heart muscle, headaches, kidney disease, osteoporosis, stroke, heart failure, kidney stones, stomach cancer. So we see there are many reasons to avoid taking in extra sodium. Let's look at some statistics about sodium. Did you know that 9 out of 10 Americans consume too much sodium? Sodium added to food outside the home accounts for more than 2/3 of this total sodium intake. More than 70% of sodium consumed is from processed, packaged, and restaurant foods. So most foods that we didn't prepare ourselves can very easily put us over our sodium limit. There are certain groups at higher risk for high blood pressure, HBP, Among them, African Americans are among the highest in the U.S. as well as worldwide. In the U.S., over 57% of non-Hispanic African Americans have high blood pressure. Among Hispanics, 44% have HBP. Over 41% of Asian Americans have high blood pressure. These groups need to pay special attention to their sodium intake and work to reduce it. How much is too much? Most adults consume more than 3,400 milligrams of sodium each day. The American Heart Association recommends no more than 2,300 milligrams a day, but ideally, no more than 1,500 milligrams per day for most adults is an optimal goal. This level is associated with a significant reduction in blood pressure, which in turn reduces the risk of heart disease and stroke. Because the average American sodium intake is so excessive, even cutting back by 1,000 milligrams a day can improve blood pressure and heart health. So we often hear sodium and salt used interchangeably. What is the difference between sodium and salt? Sodium is an essential mineral needed for proper body function. It helps control your body's fluid balance and also helps send nerve impulses and supports muscle function. Table salt that we are all familiar with is made of 40% sodium and 60% chloride. Because most sodium intake comes from salt, we may commonly hear the word salt used in place of sodium. We see that too much sodium can affect our blood pressure and negatively impact our health. We have good reasons to decrease the amount we consume. How can we start? One of the first steps to helping decrease our sodium intake is learning about the Salty 6. These are 6 popular foods that can add high levels of sodium to your diet. The Salty 6 include bread and rolls, pizza, sandwiches, cold cuts and cured meats like bacon or sausage, soup, burritos, and tacos. We see that these are very common foods that we may have on a regular basis. Aiming to have these foods less frequently or substituting high sodium ingredients for lower sodium ones in these foods can help us decrease our overall sodium intake. Unfortunately, most of the sodium we eat is hidden. As I mentioned, more than 70% of the sodium Americans eat comes from packaged, prepared, and restaurant foods, not the salt shaker. Processed foods are packaged in boxes, cans, or bags. They often contain additives, artificial flavorings, and other preservatives. Packaged foods are ready-to-eat convenience items, such as frozen dinners, gravy mixes, canned soups, and cake mixes. Packaged foods are one type of processed food. Restaurant foods are those purchased at a commercial eatery. It may be a kiosk, fast food place, takeout diner, casual dining, or white tablecloth establishment. Restaurants often rely on some processed foods in their food prep and typically use table salt for seasoning. High amounts of sodium are used in processed and convenience foods to help preserve these items, and restaurants use additional salt to enhance the flavor. We have reviewed that most of the sodium we intake comes from processed or commercially prepared food, but we may also receive sodium that is naturally contained in some foods like milk, certain fruits, and vegetables. We can also receive extra sodium from products added when cooking and table salt added before eating. When buying prepared and packaged foods, always check the sodium content on the nutrition facts label. Compare the sodium content of similar products, then choose the product with the lowest sodium. Here is a closer look at the nutrition facts label that is found on most foods. This label can help guide us to make better choices and make modifications to our portions. As we use the nutrition facts label, first pay attention to the serving size. This will guide you with the best portion size and help make modifications if needed. These labels are standardized, so when you see this label, it should be laid out very closely to what you see here. You will find sodium midway within the label, and the unit is listed in milligrams. You see here that this item's serving size is 2/3 cup, and this 2/3 cup contains 160 milligrams of sodium. A good guideline to use is to aim to have meals with less than 700 milligrams of sodium. The nutritional label can help us keep track of this. Here are sodium-related terms you should look for on food packages. Sodium-free. This means less than 5 milligrams of sodium per serving. Very low sodium shows that this item has 35 milligrams or less per serving. And low sodium, that item has 140 milligrams or less per serving. Sodium chloride or table salt is the most common form of sodium, but sodium comes in many forms. One of the more obvious ways you can find it is on the nutrition facts label we just saw. And sometimes it's hidden in multiple words in the ingredients list that you may not recognize. You may see ingredients such as monosodium glutamate or MSG, sodium bicarbonate, sodium nitrate, to name a few. Also note that baking soda and baking powder contain sodium. Other little-known hidden places for sodium are over-the-counter and prescription drugs. Check out the labels and ingredient list on over-the-counter drugs. For prescription drugs, you'll have to ask your doctor or pharmacist since it's not on the bottle. Other terms you may see on packaging are reduced or less sodium. This means the item has 25% less sodium than the usual product. Light in sodium means that it is reduced by at least 50% per serving. Please note that these terms do not necessarily mean that the product is low sodium. They have just reduced the sodium amount of the original or standard product. Refer to the nutrition fact label sodium level to know for sure. The symbol you see here, the heart check mark, is a simple tool to help you eat smart and watch for sodium. When you see it, you can be confident a product aligns with the American Heart Association's recommendations for an overall healthy eating pattern, including limiting sodium. So look for the AHA heart check mark to find heart-healthy items in stores or restaurants. Aiming for a diet that includes more heart-healthy items can help reduce your sodium intake. Heart-healthy foods include a variety of fruits and vegetables. Fresh and frozen are the best low-sodium choices. Whole grains such as oats, brown rice, corn, skinless poultry and fish, beans and legumes, unsalted nuts, non-tropical vegetable oils such as canola or olive oil. Limit saturated fat that is found in foods like butter, shortening, even coconut oil, and red meat. Trans fat found in some stick margarines, commercially baked goods, and fast food, and sweets such as donuts, cookies, snack cakes, and sugary drinks. Our intake tends to be much healthier when we prepare our own foods. When we are preparing our own foods, we have control over the fat, sodium, and sugar that goes into it. Here are some tips for controlling sodium when cooking and preparing food at home. Go light on the salt shaker when preparing recipes. Don't salt your food before you taste it. Try salt-free seasoning alternatives like Mrs. Dash or similar items. Try out herbs and spices, vinegars, or fresh lime or lemon to add flavor instead of salt. We can make better choices when dining out if we are prepared. Healthy choices can be found if you know what to look for and how to ask. Study the menu online before you order. Many chain restaurants list nutrition facts for their items. Look for healthy designations on the menu. Many restaurants have a healthy choice symbol by heart healthy and low calorie choices. Request your dish be prepared without added salt or other high sodium ingredients. As mentioned earlier, our medications could be hidden sources of sodium. Look on the label to see if it lists the sodium content, or ask your pharmacist if there are low sodium alternatives to the medicines you are taking. Do you want to see more heart-healthy choices from the companies we buy from? You can help make a difference by letting companies know that you support their healthier options. You can check out more information by visiting the websites listed here. Thank you for joining today. Remember that your voice matters, and please share the information you learned today with your family and friends. Encourage everyone to be active in the Empowered to Serve movement. You can help us work to draw communities together on the path to building a sustainable culture of health. Encourage your family and friends to listen to the Living Well Ahead Health series, Health Lessons with you. If you would like to provide the American Heart Association with any feedback about the Breakup with Sodium lesson, you can send an email to empoweredtoserve@heart.org. Be sure to check out these resources to support you on your journey. Visit www.wellaheadla.com/wisewoman for links to all available resources. Visit the Well Ahead Community Resource Guide at www.wellaheadla.com/CRG to search for support services near you. Join the Wise Woman Facebook group to receive tips and encouragement from others taking this journey with you. Use this QR code to join the group today. Great job! We are so proud of you for completing week 2 of Living Well Ahead series. Take what you learned today and practice over the next week. You can do it, and remember that making small changes over time can make a big difference. So pick 1 or 2 things that you think you can do and try to do them consistently. We will see you next time for week 3 of the Living Well Ahead series called Eating Healthy with Fruits and Vegetables. During this lesson, we will learn more about why eating fruits and vegetables is important and how to incorporate them into your daily routine. See you soon.